episode of Speak Now, Hold Your Peace is brought to you in part by Green Sister Botanicals, plant-based hair and body care. Visit
She's good. She's good.
Anytime there's a shooting, people are saying, we need more gun control law.
That's just human nature.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace, a live broadcast with real conversations about community social issues, politics, business, health, self-care, and more. We broadcast live on the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace Facebook group and the Speak Now, Hold Your Peace YouTube channel. And now, here's your host, Say What I Feel, Dre.
Welcome to Speak Now, Hold Your Peace. I'm Say What I Feel, Dre. Today, as always, we got a good show for you. Always going to be informative no matter what it is. So today we have Nicole L Horton, and she is a strong, when I say strong, y'all like my arms, y'all, strong Black mother. She's a strong Black mother, man, and she has a child with GRIN2B, and if you don't know what that is, you'll know what it is today. And a lot of people compare it to cerebral palsy, and there is a difference. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, let's welcome Nicole. Nicole, what's good? What's going on?
Hey, everything is great over here.
All right.
Just
all
relaxing, finally relaxing. Finally.
Yeah, good,
but everything is
good.
all good. Aiden is good. My baby girl's good. Everybody's good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, we got to talk about Aiden later, man, because that kid got a little personality on him. I can tell you. And it's funny because I never met him in person, but the stuff that Nicole puts on Facebook that he does and his moods and stuff, I'm telling you, he's a grown man. He do grown man things.
Indeed.
Exactly.
He is a grown man. Yes.
So Nicole, the first question I wanted to ask you, what motivates you to be such a strong mother?
Well, what motivates me most now, I have two children, by the way, so to share with everybody. My daughter, she's 20 and Aiden is 10. What motivated me first with my daughter, obviously, was just I was a young mom and I had to get it done. You know what I mean? I had to do what needed to be done to provide for her. So I always say, like, she taught me how to love, but then Aiden really showed me unconditional love.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he really did. So I think the motivation now is I really want to educate myself. Aiden has shown me that he is my motivation. He totally is. He's my motivation every single day in my personal space and in my mind. For him, for others, I think the motivation comes from, first of all, his disorder is so rare that it motivates you to really want to dig in to perhaps find a cure one day, and just also to share and network with other parents about the disorder. So overall, the motivation is him and, wanting to give him the best quality of life.
Right. I hear you. Now, if I'm correct, through genetic testing, he was first diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and then through genetic testing, it was discovered that Aiden did not have CP, cerebral palsy, but a disorder mirrored the same behaviors. It was called GRIN2B. Is that how they pronounce it?
It's called, yes, it's GRIN2B, related developmental disorder.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But GRIN2B is the gene that was affected and that mutated, during Aiden's development.
Right.
While he was in utero. So that's the gene so they don't really have a name for it, but GRIN2B right now is the gene. So they just use the gene as the name for it. Yeah.
Right. And that gene, if I'm correct, it causes developmental delays, intellectual disabilities, and abnormal movements and stuff like that, correct?
That's correct. So when Aiden was, well, I had a normal birth. Let's go from the beginning, I guess. So I had a normal birth, normal pregnancy. Everything was fine. Um, I think that when Aiden turned, I think we started really noticing a difference when he was about 6 months, I would say. He was kind of like ragdoll, his head was floppy and he just didn't have he didn't have the development that I saw in my daughter. So I felt proactive and to getting it, resolved immediately or trying to figure out what was going on immediately. So his pediatrician at the time, she first said, no, I think he's fine. Just give him a little bit more time. And then by that evening, after we saw her, she called me at home and she said, no, Nicole, I just don't feel right. I feel like we need to, let's move, let's not wait. Because if it is something, then maybe perhaps we can correct it, what have you. So very, very early, I got Aiden, MRIs and EEGs, which are to check and measure for seizures. And she gave us the diagnosis of cerebral palsy just because of his delay. He wasn't able to really feed properly. Like I said, he was kind of like floppy, and then he had real tight muscles, so which is hyper and hypotonia. So for 6 years, we rolled with cerebral palsy. Just to rewind a little bit, during that workup, the MRIs and all that, we did have genetic testing.
Okay.
And at that time, the genetic testing was, there was no abnormalities. So there was no other diagnosis but cerebral palsy. So the difference with GRIN and cerebral palsy is GRIN is definitely genetic, where cerebral palsy usually comes from some type of trauma, during pregnancy or shortly after, pregnancy or prematurity, something like that. So, as a mom, I'm like, well, my son wasn't premature. I carried him full term. I didn't have any complications. Thereafter, his APGAR score, which is what they score babies when they're born, was a 9, which was amazing, So I was trying to figure out for 6 years what happened to my son. Where did it go wrong? You know what I mean? So I graduated with my associate's degree in human services. So I wanted to start. I knew as soon as he got diagnosed, I knew that it was going to be my mission to help other families. I knew it. I just, hands down, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to probably die doing. So, but when I got my degree, I said, you know what, let me try to go in and move in somewhere career-wise where I could benefit. I could help other people, but I could also gain information as well. You know what I mean? So I took a job at Children's Specialized Hospital in Mountainside, and I was working in the long-term care department. So long-term care, is children that don't go home. They're severe enough to be hospitalized, full-time all day, So in that process, I got to know all these other doctors. We're sending these kids out to different doctors. So something told me, you know what, maybe we should change pediatricians. And I did that. I got a developmental pediatrician, and he told me the minute he saw Aiden, he said he does not have cerebral palsy.
Wow.
And it was like, my heart just it was like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? He's like, that's not it. That's not it. And I was so, in a way I was happy, but in a way I was mad. Like, you can't just say that, you didn't even examine him yet. How do you know? You know what I mean? So
right.
He said, I'm gonna send you back out for genetic testing. And I said, we've already done that. And he said, you did that 6 years ago. Do you know how many different things and how many things have developed within 6 years with studies and tests and stuff? So he sent us out, and it was a couple of weeks, and that was a long couple of weeks. But then they called us and said, Aiden does have a very rare disorder. It's called GRIN2B. It probably happened, during conception. They kind of compared it to like when you zip up your jacket and then the zipper's off. It's kind of like that, you know what I mean? So things didn't align properly,
Gotcha.
So I was so relieved. It was like, not that my son was still who he was. Aiden still, had his disorder. It wasn't going to really change anything, but to know that I knew I wasn't tripping, and I knew that something else was going on with my son. And that doctor paid a little bit more attention, and he's trained to do that. He's a developmental pediatrician. So they're they see the not so typical children.
Right.
So it's kind of what he does, So we got diagnosed, and I've been on this GRIN2B path ever since. So we're at like 5 years now with having a diagnosis.
Wow. And it's crazy. It's crazy because like mothers have this intuition of knowing stuff that like fathers may not know, or other people, or even doctors. Because I remember one time, my daughter, both of them, they have allergies, and my wife was saying, no, it's this. And they were saying, no, it's not. And then like she knew, and it wound up being what my wife said. So mothers have that intuition, man. Like,
Yes.
And I think the fight to not give up is so important. And if there's any mothers that are watching now, don't give up. Just because a man with a degree tells you is this and that, they could be wrong. Just like 2 + 3 is 1. So
it is possible to be wrong.
The doctors, it's just not, they're taking educated guesses based on information that they've received, studies, past patients and stuff like that. But everybody's different. So no matter what goes on, everybody's different. Parents that, if you want to get your child tested, get them tested again.
Just trust your instinct. Just trust it. And
Yeah.
I knew navigating through that hospital, which I'm still affiliated with now to this day, and I'm on 2 different councils for them. I knew navigating through that hospital, I was going to get some answers, as to what happened, or, what does the future look like for him? You know what I mean? I knew through them, they were going to be able to help, and they've been amazing. They really have.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And when you find a spot a hospital that's gonna help, you got to hang on to it, because not everybody's in it for your own best interest.
That is for sure.
They get overworked, and it's this diagnosis. Being that I work in mental health, I see a lot of that. It's just he's doing this and that. Diagnose him with ADHD and get him out of here. Give him this medicine.
Exactly.
But it's not always the case. They're wrong sometimes.
It's not always the case. They are absolutely. Sometimes it could be where they are wrong. You're right.
Yeah. Yep. So in terms of the GRIN2B, I did one thing I like to do with the show is if I'm going to do it on the show on a specific topic, I put it out there on different websites to see what questions people have. And one of the questions, and I had the same question, is there a cure for it, or is it close to a cure to your knowledge, or can it be cured?
So to my knowledge, there is no cure for it. I know that they've been actually recently Aiden went to have a physical done, and the same doctor that we still have to this day, he said that he always does research before Aiden comes to see if anything has changed. Like he knows Aiden's coming, so he'll, try to look up stuff and research just to see if there's anything new he can tell me when Aiden comes to see him.
Right.
And he did tell me that they're starting some type of clinical trials, but GRIN2B is more known in the UK, believe it or not. It's for some reason it's over there more than it is here. There's more children that have been affected by it over there. So he did tell me that there's some clinical trials, and I'm not necessarily okay with that yet. That's not necessarily something that I want to introduce to Aiden yet.
Right.
However, I wouldn't be opposed to it, maybe down the line or whatever. But Aiden is just doing extremely well where we are. So I don't want to, put anything else into our little bubble that we have. But I do know that there's clinical trials. There is no cure for it, but I believe the clinical trials are to try some type of preventative measures and to help with some of the, like, if it's, brain development and stuff like that, different medications that could possibly help with brain development. But there is no official cure for it. No.
Okay. Now,
yeah.
Nicole, what are some of the challenges that you have? Not so much inside the home, but like just in terms of with doctors, not so much the doctors because you said they were great, but what do you have any other outside challenges like insurance stuff, buying equipment and stuff like that?
Yeah. The equipment is the biggest thing. The equipment is the biggest thing. Okay. I would say that it's very, very hard to certain things insurance will not pay for, like a sleep safe bed for Aiden. That's just one example. He can't typically sleep on a average, twin size boy's bed. You know what I mean? He needs structure. He needs to be kind of zipped up, if you will, because that's what it looks like. It looks like a big fort, his bed. But medically, they said he didn't need it. Like he's not prone to seizures right now. He's, they felt that he didn't need it. So it was a lot of red tape to get him that bed, and insurance did not pay for it. I had to go through other avenues to get it. But yes, with insurance, with equipment, it can be a song and a dance. It really could be a true song and a dance. And I would say that has been the biggest challenge is certain pieces of equipment that he needs that the insurance just doesn't feel that he needs. And they can honestly say no. You can fight them back and forth over and over, and they can still say no. And usually that's what happens. So yeah, I would say the equipment is the biggest challenge. Yes.
Okay. All right. In terms of the doctor, now I know you say you had some good doctors. Were the doctors, I know they were patient with you, but how does it feel to be able to have such, because a lot of people don't have great doctors, not great in terms of their knowledge, but just their patience. How happy were you to have a doctor? Because I'm sure you asked a lot of questions. With just how comfortable were you with asking questions over continued questions to a doctor? Because some people get a little nervous about asking so many questions. How comfortable were you?
I don't get nervous.
How comfortable were you with the doctor, like asking him questions?
I'm about to show you how comfortable. Hold on one second. Hold on 1 second. I should have had this in front of me. Hold on.
I'm getting real excited. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Okay. I'm back.
Let me see. I was about to say that. I was like, let me see if it's a little notebook. Wow. Wow.
This is the latest one. I have 7.
Wow.
This is the 7th binder. So every time I go to the doctor, I have on the first, when you open it, it's the questions that I have accumulated from the last visit to the next visit. Okay. All of his lab work, all of his MRIs, every single thing that is ever needed is in my most recent binder.
Wow.
So to answer your question, answer your question, my son's team, just like his school team and his medical team, they are very, very, very aware of who I am.
Okay.
And they know, I think right off the bat, especially with the developmental pediatrician that he has that referred us to the geneticist, we hit it off right away. And because I showed so much interest in it, he himself is very quirky and very informational and likes to, see what I can find type of doctor.
Right.
So we were feeding off of each other. You know what I mean? Like,
Got you.
I was fueling him and he was just loving it. Like, like giving him the okay to flood me with information, because
Right.
at the end of the day, no one's going to be able to explain my son better than me.
Right.
Period. Right. I don't need, not even the doctors, because y'all can talk about his medical all day, but I know the other side too. You know what I mean? So the best part of the medical team is, first of all, they're all in the same hospital. So I don't really have to travel from place to place to place, unless he's having like a surgical procedure or something like that.
And that's good.
Then of course, but yeah, most of them right down the hall from each other. Typically I get to see them all in one day. Sometimes with COVID and all that, it hasn't really worked out that way, but they are all very, very good doctors, and they take very good care of Aiden. There's nothing that I ever could complain about with them. One thing is, one of the doctors is leaving, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So, but other than that, I mean, I have been blessed with both for his medical team and his educational team. We have been blessed to have, because I've heard so many stories and I've witnessed so many stories of families, not really getting the care and the bedside manner, or they clump autism together now. So it's kind of just typical paperwork, medication. They're not really into the nitty gritty of that particular individual's autism. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just group them together. So I'm just grateful that Aiden's team separates each child. At least that's my experience. Every child is different. Every child's need is different. And they really enforce that. You know what I mean? They really make sure that everybody has their own time, attention, and stuff with them. So medical team, great. School team, great as well.
Yeah, and I can appreciate a doctor that I call those doctors that put it all into one. One size fits all. So I can appreciate
exactly.
Appreciate a doctor that's not that doesn't take a one size fits all mentality, because in mental health, period, it's just you really can't. It's just so different. You know what I mean? Everybody's different. It's like throwing a whole bunch of nails on the ground and expecting them to have the same scratches on one part. It ain't gonna happen. It's like DNA.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's
that's
like
what
DNA.
It is.
No DNA is different. So
exactly.
So speaking of DNA and all of that stuff, in terms of you said GRIN2B was a gene, right?
Yes.
Is it hereditary?
Good question. Aiden's particular GRIN is not, but it can be hereditary. Yes.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that they check. So his is considered, I think it's called de novo, which means that he didn't inherit it from his father or myself. It just happened, during conception or whatever. But I have had podcasts and stuff before with families who have children who have inherited it. So yes, it can be hereditary.
And as far as being diagnosed with GRIN2B, does every child diagnosed with GRIN2B, do they all get like developmental delays, or is that something that one of them things where they could or they can't? Some can't, some could. Typically,
they're all delayed. So far, I think there's only like 200 cases in the world.
Oh wow!
I believe.
For real?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So typically, most of them are delayed. But I know like Aiden has a classmate who she's delayed as well, but she can walk. You know what I mean? She still needs guidance and stuff like that, but she's able to walk. Whereas Aiden can't right now. You know what I mean? So there is a level of developmental delay in most of the families and children that I've come across, but it's at different levels. You know what I mean? Like Aiden can't have a regular food diet. I have to puree all of his meals because he's not able to chew. Whereas a friend of his can chew, they just only eat very specific things. You know what I mean? So there are delays and they are all affected differently, but in terms of the delay, there is quite an amount there. Yes.
Right. So let me ask you this, Nicole. As we all know, having children doesn't come with a manual. You can't go to page 1, then page 2. Well, the child is crying, go to page 3. They don't come with manuals. And, as parents, we do our best to raise them. We have our own way of raising our own children. And, everybody, it's just different. Everybody raises their children different. So with that being said, was there ever a time during that 6 years, well, not so much that 6 years, was there ever a time that you felt that you weren't capable of taking care of Aiden because of his diagnosis?
Absolutely.
Really?
And it lasted 20 minutes.
That's funny. For real?
Okay. I'm just kidding.
No. See, dang. Some people be like, okay, I gotta do it.
But you know what? This is how there are still times where I feel like, how am I gonna do this? Especially as he grows, because Aiden is very, very physically strong, a very physically strong boy, and so lately it's been where it's like the doctor just told us last week that he anticipates Aiden being around 6 feet tall. So
wow.
I'm like, I can't do this. How in the world? And then I'm like, you're going to do this. You're just going to do it. It's going to be what it's going to be. So, but when we first got diagnosed with cerebral palsy, I had my moment. I had maybe about an hour, I won't say 20 minutes. I had about an hour of like grief and crying and trying to figure it out. And then I just wiped my face and the doctor gave me a list of doctors to call. And the next day, that's what I was doing. And I've been making calls and seeking advice and doing all that other stuff ever since. So I have my moments, but at the end of the day, I got to take care of my son. So
right.
In those dark moments, I got to figure out other ways to cope, and me having support with other GRIN families has helped so much. It still helps to this day, just to know that I have them. And now that it's like we're in like this little secret society, this little club now, you know what I mean? And you can identify with someone who actually has the same disorder as your child. So, I just feel like now it's with more resources and stuff like that, it's easier for you to be able to say, look, I can do this. And I'm going to do it. So,
yeah. And that kind of leads me into my next question. So I know, if I'm correct, you got a job at Aiden School at one point. Did you get a job?
I was volunteering.
Okay.
I got a job at where he was at the hospital where he was being seen.
Okay.
That was my main job. I was the unit coordinator there, but at his school, I'm very active within his school too. But I got the job at the hospital because I knew that I wanted to pick everybody's brain. And I figured if I can be on staff here as well as have my child be seen here, then it's kind of like a 2-for-1 kind of deal,
And that was my next question. I was going to ask you, was it beneficial? But I'm taking it was beneficial.
It was so beneficial that I had to leave, unfortunately. We had some issues with Aiden and I had to take some time off work. So I decided to go back to school. So now I'm finishing up my BA in behavioral science.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Congrats. Yeah. So
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm almost done. So I'm thinking of becoming an ABA therapist to be able to help with, other children like him. But me being in the hospital still, even though I'm not there working, I still meet with them once a month. I'm on, a committee that helps other families and stuff like that. So I still feel the connection, but being there and being a part of them makes the whole journey a little bit easier
Okay. All
for
right.
sure.
Yeah, definitely ain't nothing like a community with, like even if like a Facebook community with
Yes.
family,
Yeah.
people who are
Yeah.
going through some of the same things. It really makes a difference to know, talk to somebody who actually went through the same thing. Not to say
That's
that you
for
can't
sure.
talk to somebody else, but somebody who's like, yeah, I understand.
That can relate. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You share that moment, and kind of makes you stronger. I would think.
It
Yeah.
absolutely does. And once you feel like you're not alone, I think you feel a little bit more like you can conquer, and
Right.
you can you can deal with your
Yeah.
circumstances. It's nothing like somebody being able to share their
Mm-hmm.
similarities and how they got through it. It
Right.
could help you
Right.
get through it as well.
Yeah. I always look at support as like a seesaw. So when you're down, somebody's up, and when
Yes.
they're
Yeah,
down,
exactly.
you're up. So
You're
y'all
up.
you balance it out, and you're okay. So once you balance it
Yes.
out, and the weight being the stuff that you're going through, if it balances out, you're good to go. So
Absolutely.
I want to talk about Aiden.
Okay.
I want to talk about my man Aiden. So does he like school, Nicole?
He loves school.
Yeah.
Aiden is the man on campus. Okay.
They all love him, huh?
Everybody loves Aiden. They think that
Uh-huh.
he's so stylish. I got to keep my boy
You keep
looking.
him fresh. I ain't gonna lie.
I
I know
got to keep him
you
fresh.
keep him fresh. I do know that. You ain't gonna ever
I got to
say
keep him
yeah.
fresh.
Right.
Yeah, but he loves school. There's so much to do there that when COVID hit and we were home and he was virtual, it took a real huge toll on him. It really did. It took a toll on both of us, but it broke his spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because he really,
Yeah.
really does love school. There's so much to do. They have a swimming pool there. He rides horses there. They have a huge koi pond in the back in the playground. All of his therapy team is wonderful to him. And, he kind of, that's where he shines the most, is at school.
Right.
For sure.
In terms of his curriculum, what does it entail? Like his curriculum, like what do they
So
teach?
he still has math and science, and he comes home with his little science projects and stuff like that. But for the most part, they incorporate academics, which I love, and that was one of the reasons why I chose that school. There are some schools that really just focus on the physical part and the therapeutic part.
Right.
But I love his school because he gets the best of both worlds. And although he's unable to do a math problem, he can look at the iPad and point to milk, and that's how you know that so he's able to communicate through devices and stuff like that. So I feel like he gets the best of both worlds.
Right.
They
Right.
teach him science, about clouds and all types of things. So I feel like he has a really, really good balance.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back out from asking questions about Aiden, but because I forgot to ask you this. Nicole, there's a lot of parents who have children with disabilities, and they kick themselves in the foot and all the time saying it's my fault. It's my fault that he or she has this and that. What would you say to a parent who reaches out to you and just feels like it's their fault that they have a child with a disability?
I would say now, after 10 years on this road, I feel absolutely chosen to do this. So I would say to them, you were chosen for this task and you did nothing wrong, and you will be fine. It's as simple as that. You will do it. I feel like a lot of us come down on ourselves. I came down on myself a lot in the beginning, especially with the cerebral palsy, because I kept trying to question everything that I did. Did my water break early and I didn't realize it? You know what I mean? Or did something happen? And then over time, it was just kind of like, this is your design. This is what was designed for you. And it wouldn't have been any other way. So I would just say to those parents, if you could just look at it like that and just know, and you are doing your best.
Right.
I tell myself that every day. I try to tell other people that, you're doing your best, and to try to lighten up on yourself. It is a hard job, but you were chosen, so that speaks
Right.
volumes to
Right.
what you can do.
Yeah, and
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think whatever those people's religious beliefs are, I think God is not going to put you
I
through
was
anything
trying to
you can't handle.
I was trying to
Yeah,
go. That's
yeah.
where I was going.
We can say
Yes.
this is my show. We can
Okay.
say it. Yeah, let's
Okay.
get
Good.
yeah.
God is not going to give you
Go
anything you
get some
cannot
church
handle.
up in here. Exactly.
Period. Okay.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. All right, this is my damn show. I talk about God. Now you can talk about God, or you can talk about God. We start talking about God. You start, man, I'm God. I'm about to do my like. Oh man, you got me cracking up
Okay.
tonight.
Cool.
All right, so let me ask you this. As far as I know, Aiden, he goes to school. He's learning different things. Is there a physical therapy piece to it also? Does he do any type of physical therapy?
Aiden has physical, occupational, and speech therapy every day at school.
Okay.
And aquatic therapy, which he swims with his physical therapist in the pool twice a week at school.
Okay.
So, and he has had therapy since he was 6 months. Since the very, very beginning, Aiden he started therapy at such an early age. I honestly believe, through early intervention and every step that I took for him, I truly believe that he's way further because of that. I feel like, he's more advanced than if I didn't do those things for him, especially the early intervention part. I think it's super important. I'm a very, very, very strong advocate for early intervention. I think it's super important for our children that are experiencing any type of delay. It's like a jump start for them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, early intervention was a great avenue for him. So yeah, he gets all types of therapy. We're incorporating outside therapy soon. Probably at the beginning of the year, I may do a little bit more physical therapy with him on an outpatient level through the hospital, but it's a lot. His workload already is a lot. So that's still up in the air.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Does he participate in any, does a school, or I guess a community, does he participate in any of these events where, like they have a lot of fun, like Special Olympics or anything like that?
We have the wheel and walk and roll, which is every year at his school, which is a huge event. We have one for his school and one for the children's hospital, but it's basically like a marathon, and Aiden always participates. We make flyers, we make banners. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to look into some of the special needs sports last year, but then with COVID, we had to kind of table those again. But I think he's ready. I think we're ready for some basketball or some bowling or something like that. I think he would really enjoy that. So we'll look to that for the future.
Okay. How does he react to new faces, like new people that he meets?
So Aiden is very, very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I probably am the only one that he's not friendly to most times.
Yeah. You're right.
I'm probably the one.
Yeah.
I am the one that he takes everything out on, which is cool. I mean, I'm used to it, but he loves people. He loves to be outside. He loves to be around noise, and the only thing like he doesn't really get down with is thunder.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The thunder was crazy the other night. He was just not happy, but he loves to be out. He loves to be social. That's one thing, like in the summer, I really like for him to, family cookouts and all that. He's all for it.
I know he has a good time. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
sure
he definitely loves to be out.
Right.
He does.
Wow.
He really does.
So I got two more questions before I let you go, Nicole. And one of them is, what what was your proudest moment with Aiden?
Oh, okay. So, as I shared, Aiden does not walk independently. So usually I have to hold him, and I'll hold his hand, and he kind of, can walk on his own a little bit. But one of my proudest moments was I got a video from his school, and he used to be able to tolerate the treadmill for 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the school sent me a video of him on the treadmill alone, just holding on to the sides, walking for
Wow.
10 minutes.
For real?
10 minutes. Yes.
Wow.
No assistance. He's a gripper.
Yeah.
So he was holding on for dear life on the sides, but walking,
Wow.
like just strolling like it was nobody's business. I think that is one of my proudest moments because it really, really reflects his independence. It reflects, all that he's been working so hard for, and for it to be, and I think that was after. So he was home all last year due to COVID,
mm-hmm.
and then he went back in last September. He was able to go back. So when they first started him from being, out of school,
mm-hmm.
he was at 2 minutes. So he digressed a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So within like 3 weeks, he was up to 10 minutes on the treadmill with no problem. It was kind of like he picked up right where he left off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought COVID was going to destroy him and kind of just make him, but he went back to school and was like, okay, I'm back. Let's get to it. And so that was one of my proudest moments. Yeah.
Wow. So before I ask you the last question, I want to ask you one more question about the COVID thing. So during COVID, he didn't go to school. Were there exercises that the school gave you for him to do? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a routine, which unfortunately for children like Aiden, any child, but for them, having those professionals in place to work with him on those things is an absolute necessity. And when we didn't have that, he knows that I'm mom. He knows I'm not the physical therapist.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're going to try to stretch my legs. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? So it was definitely like, he knew the difference. So unfortunately, a lot of the therapies kind of just went to the wayside. I did what I could, but overall, I mean, he still went back to school and he's right where he left off. So fortunately, it didn't do too much. It didn't do as much damage as I thought it was going to do.
Right. Right. And that kind of reminds me. It's just that with school period, like I can, when my children were younger, they'll come home, have trouble with some math problem, and I'll do it I'll be like, yo, this is how you do it. No, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. I'm telling you. No, that's not how you do it. They go to school, teacher tells them the same thing. Oh, okay, this is how we do it. That's what I just said. So it's just like with parents, they just don't. Parents is different. They treat us like we the enemy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so I get it.
I am the enemy.
I get it. I get it. Yep.
I'm mom, but I am definitely like I am the one that Aiden will make sure if he had a bad day at school, he's not giving the staff the business.
Exactly.
He's gonna come home and I'm gonna get the business. So I pull my hair up, no earrings on, make sure everything is clear. He can't pull nothing because sometimes it goes down.
Yeah, it go down when he get home. He probably be like, I'm gonna tear stuff up when I get home.
Yes.
Oh man, so I'm gonna get you with the last question. I'm gonna get you out of here with the last question. First, I asked you what was the proudest moment. Now I want to know and I know you got plenty of them. What was the funniest moment you ever experienced with Aiden that just cracked you up laughing?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
I'm sure.
Dog of mine. Oh my goodness.
Well, he loves that dog. He loves the dog.
Oh my gosh, they are definitely brothers, and they're rough with each other. But God, one of the funniest moments. Yeah, one of the funniest moments to me was when Aiden he realized that he could semi-undress. So I went to bed. I distinctly remember putting on pajamas, his diaper, and the next morning, all of it was gone. And I'm like, and see, to me, it's like he kind of plays when he's with me, like that he doesn't really know, but he knows. And then you try to figure out, how did you do that? And I woke up the next morning and he's just laid out like, yup,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. I did it. And I'm like cracking up, like, how did you? And I still to this day, if any garment comes off of him in the middle of the night, I still do not. I'm trying to imagine him like pulling down his pants or taking off his shirt. I still, to me, I don't think he can do it, but apparently it gets done. So those are all those. We have a lot of those moments where I wake up to surprises. So those are all funny. All those moments are terribly funny.
Yeah, and I know he brings you some joy, man, because like I said,
absolutely does.
I feel like I know him. I know his ways. I know, he has his moments where if he don't want to be bothered, or he just getting his mood. You ain't messing with
him. Put that music on.
Yeah, the music
is his life.
He loved that music.
The music is life.
Yeah, I seen a video you posted with the music, and he was just like getting down. Like
especially if we're in the car.
Yeah,
he loves it in the car. When he's on the bus, they know. Turn the music up. Aiden is gonna be fine the whole ride. He absolutely loves music. He's listening to it now as we speak. I have it on the music channel upstairs. He loves acoustic guitar. He loves jazz. Okay. So usually it's one of those two that he goes to sleep to. Yeah.
Right. Wow. That's something, man. Well, Nicole, I just want to thank you for coming on. This was very informative.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
thank you
this
so
was
much for having me.
Informative, and I've learned a lot. And I hope any parents that are watching, or if you watch it somewhere down the line, I hope you guys get a lot out of it. This will be on the website also, the show, speaknowholdsyourpeace.com. So it'll be on there. It'll be posted tonight or tomorrow. Usually I try to post it the same day, but it'll probably be late tonight or tomorrow. So if anybody wants to watch it again, you can. Nicole,
cool. I'll be sure to share it.
Yes, please. And you're more than welcome to come back and, let's do another show. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I would love to come back. I would love to come back. Let's talk about some mental health and stuff with it, with adults. That's a really big thing right now.
Yeah. And I plan on doing, I did one in the past, but I want to do another one because there's so many different, different avenues to go with that. So we'll definitely talk about that. I'm gonna get out of here. Nicole, stay on. Don't hang up or go anywhere. I'm just gonna close the show out, and we'll talk after the show. So everybody else, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I appreciate the comments and all of that other stuff. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week. All right. So everybody, take care, peace and love, and have a good one, and be safe. All right. Man,
Thank you for watching the Speak Now Hold Your Peace live broadcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and join us on the Speak Now Hold Your Peace Facebook group.